has arrived, Rugby World Cup 2019. We're just 2 days away now, and this is my preview of the final team, but also my team, Wales. This is my preview for Wales. How are we going to do? Let me know in the comments down below. Subscribe and leave a like on the video. Let's get into it. Wales historically at Rugby World Cups have been a mixed bag. In 1987 in the inaugural tournament, it's their best finish ever, semi-finals, third beating Australia in the bronze final. But from 1991 and 1995, it was only pool stages for the Welshmen. In 1999 and 2003, they got one step further, but that was just quarter-finals and no further action for the team. 2007, we all know what happened. Fiji came to town and Fiji went through. They drew us into their game, their style of game, and we struggled. 2011 was a fantastic tournament with great young players, Priestland, Warburton, and that Warburton tackle. Would we have won the World Cup if we'd got to the final? Who knows? But that was a semi-final finish. In 2015, we got to the quarter-finals. So 2019 started in brilliant fashion for Wales, winning the Grand Slam, but playing in a pretty defensive style, and it was built around one player in many ways, in Gareth Anscombe. As we know, he will not be at Rugby World Cup 2019 due to injury, and really the way that we've been building up seemed to be built around him over the past 2 years. The warm-up matches were ones of frustration, really frustrating game against England, and we'll look at the analysis of those games in just a second. Then, against England at home, a fantastic performance, and then against both Ireland games, I don't think you can really take the third one into consideration that much due to the amount of changes, but the fourth one was a bit concerning in some areas, and we will get to them in just a second. Who the head coach? Well, we know who the head coach is. Of course, it's Warren Gatland, taking us to #1 in the world, 3 Grand Slams, 2 Six Nations Championships, a semi-final of a Rugby World Cup. I think he's done okay for us. Now it's time to look at analysis. How are we going to play in Japan? What do we maybe need to improve on before our first game? And have a look at who's going to be our key player. So the success of the Grand Slam was truly built on defence, and the stats are certainly backing that. So Wales have only scored 30 tries in 2019. If you compare that to England, it's 48 tries. But Wales' defence has been much stronger than anyone else really in the Northern Hemisphere. Wales have only missed 223 tackles in 2019, while England are second best with 313. So that really shows where Wales are at, where their defence is so strong and teams find it very difficult to break us down. And we'll look at the analysis in a minute, and it'll show that we have good rugby brains. We decide when to attack and when to go for it. Talking about analysis, let's do it. One thing we are very good at by now is deciding when to attack and when to go for it. We're patient in the build-up, and this was shown with Corey Hill's try against England, going through the phases and then deciding when to truly go for it and to try something. And not just try something for the sake of trying it, but knowing when to execute it. Every player knowing their role and executing that role. One player we will miss for sure is Gareth Anscombe, but Dan Biggar is tactically so aware. Josh Adams' try against England, where he cross-kicks it beautifully into his hands, that's simply just looking up and knowing that the space is there, knowing that Adams has maybe got the aerial prowess over Elliot Daly as England's fullback. Same again with George North's try against England, that cross-kick, just being aware that the kick was on, that the option was on. It was obviously something pre-planned, but you've got to look up and you've got to be able to execute it. So yes, we will miss Anscombe, but we have got Dan Biggar. Our key players, impact runners as I would call them, is Liam Williams and Hadley Parkes. Both players tend to arrive on the ball at speed, on the crash ball, like we saw with Jamie Roberts. Hadley Parkes in particular has had success with this over the past few months. Liam Williams is an extremely dangerous runner. We've seen that with Saracens, and we've also seen that with Wales. Possibly an area of concern for us is that we do tend to start matches and tournaments slowly. Against France in the Six Nations, it was an awful first half. Yes, the second half was much better, but that first half, we cannot afford to start like that in this year's Rugby World Cup. And the same against England at Twickenham, we started very, very slowly, and England ran away with that first half. Another area of concern that may impact us is our blitz defense. Now, this is a really clever way of defending, and it can work so well, and 80% of the time it works really well for us. But some teams have worked this out by throwing the ball out, drawing us in and throwing the ball out wide, and they've got a lot of success by doing this. We saw this with France in the Six Nations and England in the Rugby World Cup warm-ups. So we've got to be aware of that we keep our position, we keep our line position, but that we blitz together and that everyone has their man. One improvement we've seen has been at the line-out. We've seen 15 out of 15 line-outs against England recently, which is really, really good, where that was a massive concern maybe at the start of the Six Nations, the start of this warm-up matches. The scrum is still a concern. Only 72% success rate at the scrum is just not good enough for this level of rugby, and maybe that's why Warren Gatland has decided to leave the likes of Samson Lee and Rob Evans at home. The key man for us, though, I believe, is Josh Adams. Now, he is such an underrated player. His attacking stats for 2019 look like this. 3 tries in 2019 for Wales, 11 defenders beaten, 13 clean breaks, and look at this, 8 try assists. He tends to break the line of defence so well, and then is aware enough to give the pass to the supporting scrum half or centre or fly half, and that gets us a lot of points, and he will be key to keep fit at Rugby World Cup 2019. He also puts in a shift defensively with 78% tackle success rate. So Wales are in Pool D alongside Australia, Fiji, Uruguay and Georgia. This is a very interesting group, and we are one of 2 Tier 1 nations in this group, in ourselves and of course the Aussies. The Aussies themselves have not been in great form over the past 2 years, and they can be very inconsistent, almost becoming French in some senses. The situation with Israel Folau has not helped the side at all, but they have some world-class players in their side across all places, and probably the best player in his position is David Pocock. He's probably the best player in his position in world rugby, in fact. Kurtley Beale at fullback is always a threat, and it's really good to see that they have a strong pack and they can dominate at the set piece. Fiji, on the other hand, will be an interesting side to watch. There is a preview of them on the channel right now, link in the I button and in the description down below. We know what happened in 2007. If we go at them with their type of game, when the game gets messy, we could struggle against them. They're an up-and-coming team in the top 10 of the world rankings currently, whatever they mean, to be honest. But they're in the top 10. They've got some world-class players such as Semi Odrada, Matavesi, Ben Volavola. They've got some great players in there who play at top-level rugby. Georgia will be based about the scrum, the set piece being solid pack, going through the phases, not too dissimilar to what we have seen in the past from ourselves. Uruguay are the minnows. We've got to be honest about them. They're not going to be a great side. They have a great young scrum half in Santiago Atata, who's a really exciting young scrum half coming up, plays in the MLR. You'd expect Gatland to rotate against the Uruguayans and really try and give the likes of Patchell a go from the start, and other players such as Owen Watkin and maybe Hallam Amos. So Wales face Georgia first, big game, really important we get those points on the board, that we get that win. It's next Monday and it's going to be a big one. I'd expect Gatland to pretty much go with his strongest side to face the Georgians. Momentum, as we've seen in the past in Six Nations campaigns and in Rugby World Cups, are so important to getting success. But I do think we'll get out the pool okay. I think that the game against Australia is the big one. That's going to decide whether we possibly face England, who I'd expect them to win Pool C, or potentially France or Argentina. And I know I'd rather face France or Argentina than England at the minute. England look, I hate to say it, looking good. So if we can beat Australia and win top of the group, going through top, that will make a huge difference for us if we look to progress in this tournament. Australia, as I said, we just got to wait and see what Australia turns up, whether they come with a fast flowing rugby, which we can't deal with. Like, we look at the blitz defence, they could look to target that, look to draw us in and play the ball out easily. But we know that we have a fantastic defence which can deal with these types of things. We have some great backs such as Liam Williams, Halfpenny, Josh Adams, North on his day, can have a damaging effect on other sides. So Wales to get out of the group, how far do I think they'll get? Well, you have to wait for tomorrow's video, which is a Rugby World Cup predictions video, so you find out how far I think the three feathers, the Welsh Dragons, are going to get in this tournament. But guys, make sure to let me know in the comments down below, where do you think Wales will get to, your thoughts, and also subscribe so you do not miss any action here on Rugby World Cup 2019 here on Bits Rugby. Thank you very much for watching. Take it easy, guys, and peace.